grant for the town hall. We put in the budget for this year to repair the roof on the town hall. And I came across a grant that showed up a week ago, and we have 3 weeks to get the grant in. We're now at 2 weeks because 1 week's already passed, and it is to repair the roof of a historic building and to potentially put in air conditioning. And so since the upstairs has no heating and air conditioning, I was like, couldn't be a more appropriate grant for the town. And so I'm working on that. As I said, we've got 2 more weeks to get that in. We received the approval from the BLM for the easement for the east water tank. It's in everyone's folder here for you to look at and review. The entrance that they chose is the one off Dalton Wash. There were 3 choice of entrances, and that's the one they chose. We can go over it later. Everyone can take your time and look at it. But we're now they said there's yet again a 30-day appeal period, which they have until sometime in September to appeal. And as soon as that's passed, we can go forward with going back to the state to see about getting the money that you guys had before. So that's where we are with the east water tank. Then, let's see, next. I went to another grant workshop. This one was at the county. It was held at the county building, and it was Congressman Stewart's office. And they had all this money for community funding, and it has to be a community project. It cannot be just Virgin. It has to be something for the wider community. So I have talked with Ash Creek about the sewer system and whether or not we would potentially be able to apply for a grant for it to go further up the highway. And I would apply for a grant from the federal government that would cover at least part of the fees that would be charged for every household to attach. So my thought was if we could get a grant that covered the fees that people would have to attach to the system to connect, that would maybe relieve some of the objection that people have, because I see that the biggest objection is the paying of the connection fees because they're so expensive. And so our thought was, when I talked with Mike at Ash Creek, our thought was that we would be about 2 years from now, maybe, before we would be ready to go forward with even applying for a grant. But there's no harm in trying. We may not get it, but what does it hurt to try? And while I was at this meeting at Congressman Stewart's office for this grant process, somebody from the county came up and said, "Oh, Miss Mayor of Virgin, we need to talk to you." And they are applying this year, and they gave me their grant package. It's all prepared. And they are applying for a grant for the paving of Sheep Bridge Road. And they want me to write a letter of support. And so before I do anything writing a letter of support for the paving of Sheep Bridge Road, I want to have a meeting in the town where all we're going to talk about is the paving of Sheep Bridge Road, to get the temperature, get a temperature reading from the town as to whether or not I should be writing a letter of support or not. I've read this, and I think they've been working on this. They've got stuff all the way from 2017 that they've been working on this, and I just have a feeling they're going to get it. Just so you know. No, not yet. Sorry, we'll get to it. So just letting you know that they're applying for a grant. They want a letter of support from the town, and I think they've done a pretty good job on their grant application. So just letting you guys know that. Let's see, what else? I covered it pretty well. That's it for me. Anybody else have council comments? Oh, wait, sorry. Monica would like us to announce that there is bingo night coming up on September 9th, Friday, September 9th. Crystal's been working on bingo. So I'm making the announcement to everyone who's here. All right. Now, Paul.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if I was going to raise this or not, but after dispelling two various phone calls today, I thought I needed to address it. Over the weekend, I heard that there was a conspiracy theory, and I want to dispel that conspiracy theory. And the conspiracy theory was that two items on the agenda, and I'm going to use the formal titles so we don't get confused of who the people are, were placed on by Council Member Jean Garotti to pave the way of getting rid of the mayor. So I met with Jean on Monday, and he is Council Member Garotti on Monday, and he explained to me the reasons for the two agenda items, which we'll get to when they arise. And he assured me that that was not the purpose behind putting the two agenda items on the agenda. And he agrees with me that that would tear the town apart if that was the purpose. So I look forward to a spirited debate and the passion on some of the items tonight. That's great. But I want to dispel if in any incentive behind it, it was a conspiracy theory to place those items on the agenda. And after talking with Commissioner, Council Member Jean Garotti, the answer is no. And Council Member Garotti, am I accurate in my conversation with you? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you.
Anyone else on the council? Any comments from anyone else? If not, we will move on to the consent agenda. Approval for the July 22 checks and invoices and the July 27, 22 town council minutes. Any changes to the town council minutes from anyone? And any questions on the checks and invoices?
Is there a reason we don't have these on our packet this time? It's really tough to see these on the computer. We'd like to have had a copy.
Oh, in the packet? I was going to say,
Can you speak into your, so.
If we could just get those in the packets in the future. Still not working, but that's okay. I'll yell. It's really tough to look through stuff on the computer when you're looking at checks and invoices where you got to go back and forth between pages, so.
okay. Anything else from anyone? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda, both the approval of July 2022 checks and invoices and July 27th, 2022 town council minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, Crystal, there was the code you sent me recently that required now all votes in the town council have to be one by one, right? We can't just do all ayes on anything.
If it has to do with like money or land, you have to physically say G, I, you or I, whatever.
Paul, aye.
You have to do a roll count.
Yeah.
Gene, aye.
Jean, aye.
Leroy, aye.
Misty, I.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay, the next item on the agenda, well, actually, yeah, we had the previous agenda that came out. I rearranged the two public hearings to have the thing with UDOT done first. So, because Chris Hall is here from UDOT, and then this way we could talk about UDOT, and then Chris would be free to go. And he didn't have to sit through the whole meeting. And then we were going to vote on that, open the public hearing, and talk about the ordinance that Paul presented on compensation rates. However, I was asked by someone in the audience if we could move item H up to be maybe the second item on the agenda, since almost everyone in the room is here for that item, instead of making them sit through the entire meeting. And that's the one about the streetlights. So does anyone have any objection to us moving that section up to be the second item? No? Okay. So we will be moving item H up to take place after we vote on the amending the budget for UDOT. Okay? Everybody? All right. Okay, then I will take a motion to close the public meeting and open a public hearing on the issue of amending the budget for the transportation master plan for UDOT.
Are we gonna do open forums?
Oh, sorry. Thank you much. Okay, Mark, since you're walking away, I'm getting to open. Well, you're going to come ask the question right now. It's open forum, so you can ask your question now.
I just didn't hear who you said wanted to pay the Sheep Ridge Road and what
The-
the motivation was. I was just curious.
County commissioners, they've wanted to pave Sheep Bridge Road for years.
They want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. That means they need to put up speed limits on the street.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, that means they need to put up speed limits on the street.
Well, now that's UDOT. That's the state. These guys are county.
Let's get an answer then tonight.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you.
So I guess you were about to sign in up back there on the sign-in sheet. You may go. So open, open forum, anybody who has anything they'd like to speak about in open forum. Yes, Pat?
My name's Pat Galvez. I've attended 2 of these meetings and I've watched 3 online. I can never hear the voices of what people are saying.
Well, now hopefully.
I can hear the voices. The microphones are very important that we can hear the comments by all the town council members. So please speak clearly and into your microphones. I'm not a professional speaker or public speaker, but the people in the audience can't hear what's going on if you're not making your statements clear to each other and us. Thank you.
Well, as I said, we just got 2 more microphones today. Okay.
That'll help.
Hey, Pat,
I was listening.
Oh.
I wasn't in the last meeting.
Okay.
were you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's just how close is the microphone to your
Oh, it's got to
face.
be really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else for open forum?
Jay Lee, and I'm just here to report our meeting on the mosquito abatement that we had.
Okay,
Second Thursday.
I didn't realize that you'd had one, or I would have put you on the agenda to do a report. Okay.
Anyway, we approved their pesticide discharge management plan in this meeting, and anyway, it's quite extensive. I'm going to leave a copy of this with the secretary so you can get that, but we're in good hands with mosquito abatement. They're having a few more mosquitoes this year, and one thing they're having a challenge with is horse troughs and watering tanks, because people tend to leave water in there. Horses need it all the time, and they're always getting calls that they have mosquitoes in certain areas. They just go to the horse troughs and check, and people can go down and buy a tablet to put in there to keep the mosquitoes away, or I think the district has some that work a lot longer and a whole lot less than the ones you can buy in the store. But anyway, I think that's any questions or? Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Bill, you were about to stand up. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Bill Swenson, and it's good to be here. I'd just like to mention a couple things quickly. I know this is a short timeline. Are we still working on a post office? That's a question I have, and I know you don't have the time to answer back, but I would hopefully I was hopeful that we are still working to get a post office back in town. I do have some ideas. I have some new ideas that I just brought back from Wayne County, where they closed a post office in Torrey, Utah, and the town pretty much went ballistic. And the town took the lead and built a post office. And the Postal Service furnished them with a postmaster, and they got their post office back. They were 8 miles from their post office for a year or more. We're 7 miles from our post office. So I would hope that maybe we are looking in that direction. Citizens helped with that post office construction in Torrey, Utah. There's record of it, and if they can do it, why can't we do it? So it's a long haul for some people. I don't go there that often. Some people go there every day. And I think, as we all know, the post office is somewhat of a nucleus for a small town. We see neighbors, we see friends, we may buy eggs, we may do anything at a little post office. So when I visited the one in Teasdale next to Torrey, I mentioned that, and she said, "That's funny. Yours got closed and so did Torrey's." She proceeded to tell me the story. So I've done some research, I've looked at it. So hopefully there is some work going in that direction. The next thing I'd like to mention kind of falls into the dark sky that we're hoping to secure here in town and maybe regain or hold on to. There is a 2022 Southwest Astronomy Festival coming in 2 weeks. I believe it's the 28th, 29th. It's not this weekend, but next. It's going anywhere from Cedar Breaks to Kanab to Apple Valley to Pipe Springs to St. George, not Virgin. I think it may even be in Hurricane. But there's a value in dark sky. I know some members of the council, some members of the community may not value that or see that value, but a lot of us do. So please take that into consideration and support the Astronomy Festival. Website status. It'd be nice to know where we are in a website status. It's been a long time. That's our link to the office. So if we can get anything on that, I know without a website, how do you let us know? But maybe some emails. Maybe we can get some updates on that. A consideration, I'm going to leave this for last because it's really probably one of the most important. One thing I did notice, and even as late as 2 hours ago, the project out at Sheep Bridge Road and SR9 near Desert Gardens, commercial project, is there not a project information sign required for big developments or any developments? There is for residential developments. We have to have a sign that says the name of the contractor, the permit number, et cetera, et cetera. What would be handy to have that information in our back pocket to be able to contact, or anyone, the actual developer if there's a problem or a concern, or to give them a kudo for doing a good job. But an information sign on that project would be helpful, I think, to everyone. So I think it would be a good move. Wow, Falls Park, paved Sheep Bridge Road. That's huge. There's pluses and minuses there, but if that gets paved, and it's not if, but when, if you guys think we got visitors at Falls Park now, and we know we do, because I see it on my patio, it's going to get inundated. And Falls Park is at times inundated. And if we get that road, not if, when they get that road paved, it's going to just tremendously impact Falls Park. So that's a consideration. Hopefully we're taking into under advisement. And I'll finish with this. Could there be some consideration from the council to start these meetings at 6 p.m.? 7 p.m. is, you've shortened it to 9, which I totally agree. I think it's a value. You're getting the items on the agenda, because we all know if we push them to the next month, left out. So if you can take that under advisement and consideration, I would appreciate it. And thank you for what you all do. Okay?
Thank you, Bill.
You got it.
Evening, John Ely. Just to pick up on a comment that Bill mentioned, on the LaBridge site, they are doing excavation, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, their excavation permit should be posted. And if they're also going to be doing the piping for the water treatment plant, for their water treatment system, that may not be in this phase, but there is a permit required by DEQ that should also be posted. maybe that's not in this phase. Thank you.
Just one.
Mhm. Everybody's writing, so I'm waiting.
Okay.
Okay, just a quick comment. Sean Ammett, I come to my attention from somebody down in Laverkin that there is a trails committee, the one trail going all the way up through to Zion. I'm just wondering who's on that trail committee? That's you? Okay,
And Bill Swenson.
awesome. All right. And they had somebody else that attended those meetings and just didn't notice if there was anybody from Virgin. And
They've been on Zoom for a while.
Yeah.
Most of the meetings have been on Zoom.
okay,
And the last one that was in person was maybe 4 months ago in Hurricane. We have one coming up on September 1st down in Laverkin
okay.
next week.
If those could somehow get posted as well, because those would be interesting to.
Okay, some of the meetings have been like just the little executive committee, which aren't open to the public.
Mhm.
And so that's why some of them are not noticed. But
Awesome.
I will talk with them next week. I know the meeting that we have next week is one of the executive committee. So that won't be noticed, but I will talk to them about noticing all the others that are.
Awesome.
public.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Reason I came up is because it has been a couple of months already, if I'm not mistaken, where that horrible accident happened on State Road 9 near Fairfield Hotel. And my question is, has anything been addressed with respect to that accident?
The guy from UDOT is sitting on the row behind you. We can see what he has to say.
Where is that gentleman?
He's not going to answer you right now. We're about to talk to UDOT in a
Just
minute.
a direct question, because sometimes months go by and then things fade away, nothing happens.
But they did say at the last meeting that the guy ran the stop sign.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, if we are done with open forum, then I will take we'll move on to item 6, and I will take a motion to close the public meeting and open the public hearing about amending the town budget to include $25,000 for our contribution to UDOT's Transportation Master Plan for Virgin.
I motion to close the public meeting and open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you both. Shall we vote? Paul?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Me? Aye. Leroy?
Aye.
Misty?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So is there any comment from the public about amending our budget to pay for $25,000 toward the Transportation Master Plan that UDOT wants to do for in Virgin? And we have a comment. Lee?
Lee Ballard. This isn't really about the budget, except that I want to make sure that there are some open public events where people will actually participate in having this plan designed, because it's really going to affect everyone. And we have more say in how the highway looks coming through our town than a lot of people realize. So I think it's important that people are encouraged to give input about it, and maybe at some big events. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes.
I would suggest that we have any questions from council to Chris during this session, so it's part of the
Okay,
public meeting.
okay.
Chris Hall with UDOT.
And I do have a question, so may I proceed?
Go.
Oh,
Sure.
okay, great. Chris, I looked at your new scope of services, and at the last meeting, I thought we were going to get the scope of services plus a potential addendum for doing recommendations with respect to traffic calming on residential streets in SR9. I did not see that in that scope.
So I requested them to make that change, and it just didn't get done for tonight's meeting. But before it is contracted, it will be in there.
Okay, and what is that cost?
It was $1,000.
Okay. And I assume the mayor's going to want you to address the comment about the accidents,
The comments about what?
the accident?
Oh,
on
yes,
SR9?
yes.
So that is through our traffic and safety group, which I can't speak for them. But I think the mayor alluded to it, that we assessed it, we did analysis, and it was due to, I guess, unfortunate circumstances that the stop sign wasn't adhered to legally that caused that. And unfortunately, we have a lot of fatalities around the state due to that, reasons of somebody didn't obey all the traffic laws. And there is not much that UDOT can do to improve that situation. If there's a stop sign that's not adhered and there's a fatality, there's not a lot that UDOT can do there. So to my current knowledge, we're not planning to do anything at that intersection due to the fact that it was that one incident. There's not a large crash history there of serious or fatal accidents. There's many other locations around the state that have a much higher fatal and serious injury crash rating that we try and address them as funding is available in the best cost benefit ratio of getting them most for the limited tax dollars we have to improve safety at intersections throughout the entire state.
Any questions from any, oh, yes, Misty.
I just wondered if you could, I liked Lee Ballard's comment. I wondered if you could answer that. Is there going to be some open public?
Yes, so the way we set these up is we get a stakeholder group where it has multiple members from the community. Hopefully we get multiple people from the city council or town council, business owners in Virgin, and just residents that are the stakeholder meeting that we have those meetings with. It's usually about 10, 15 people from the community that we want to attend all of our meetings. The idea is that those stakeholders that come to those meetings can take it back to their neighbors and everybody in town to discuss the process that we go through. And then we will also hold at least one public comment period where they can look at it, the plan, and say, provide comments, and then we address those comments before we finalize it. So there'll be quite a few points of public input throughout the whole process, and then at least one. I'm hoping that we're going to get 2 public comment periods to say, provide any input you have to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the community.
Okay.
Yes.
Lee, do you feel like that answered your question?
Well, public comment period usually means it's a time when people can write letters, but I would hope that there would be a presentation to the community so that people could ask questions and understand the plan before they made it.
Yes, currently, right now, I believe there is one public meeting where we will present the plan, and you can provide comments at that. So, but we don't try and limit it to just that meeting. We want a time frame that people can only get online or in person, where their preference is. So we want to try and broaden that to make sure everyone has a chance to provide input and not just people that can make it to the one public meeting we have.
Sure, I'm just saying that alternatively, some people won't write comments, but they will go to an event.
Yeah.
Thank you. That answered mine.
Are we allowed to respond to this gentleman?
I believe so.
It's a public hearing.
Would you step up to the mic though, because it is hard for,
I listened to your response regarding the accident down the road here. And I just want to point out that when you're driving west, you're coming in from Springdale, as was the case of the bus, I guess. You're at a 65 mile an hour speed zone. Before that, and not very much before that, it drops down to 55. Common sense for me dictates that somebody that's coming in, and we all know how some people, both locals, tourists, foreigners, are doing 70. And by the time they get to the 65, 55, they're down to, if we're lucky, 60 miles an hour. And I think that should be addressed, because to place the burden on existing laws and that the person simply crashed a stop sign when they shouldn't have. For me, it sounds like somebody looked at it, threw it away 2 minutes later and said, no, this is a law enforcement thing. And I strongly disagree with that, because somebody coming out there, they may be diligent and they turn, but somebody rambling down that road at 60 miles an hour, it's gonna happen again. So I think you should revisit it, because I'm not happy with that answer at all.
And if you would like, the town council can reach out to our traffic and safety engineer, Jared Beard, to address changing speed limits. That's not something that I can speak to.
Can I ask a question?
Who? Come up to the microphone. Oh, okay.
I'm obviously, I will tell you before I ask the question.
You have to.
You guys do understand, this is private. Yeah, okay. I'm biased, okay? I have to admit it, but I'm curious, and I'm kind of a late arrival to Virgin. I live in Desert Gardens, and I'm curious, it seems like we are creating a major hazard there with that speed limit at 55 miles an hour.
I know, I was about to say,
I can't.
I know George addressed this question and you're addressing the same thing, but that is not what this public hearing about. The public hearing is about amending the budget for $25,000 for the access management plan. And if you have any objection to or comment on us amending the budget, I should have stopped you, George, from your comment. So, okay.
I just want you to, I hope you guys are considering this stuff, because it's creating
Mayor?
Okay, what?
May I just add a comment to that? And Mike, yes, the addendum that I requested is to do recommendation for traffic calming devices on SR9 and residential. So that will be part of this traffic study if the addendum comes through. And that's what I'm requesting.
Okay, thanks. Well, that's great. Thank you.
Wanda Leverett, just further to Lee's comment, you mentioned stakeholders. It would be really beneficial if the stakeholders are from various neighborhoods throughout the town. Jean had a meeting with the Pocketville people to hear about their issues and things going on. And so I attended it because I wanted to hear what was going on over there. And every section of town, albeit very small, everybody has their own issues and preferences. So it would just be very helpful when you look at who are the stakeholders going to be, if you can look at the various sections of town and include people from the various neighborhoods.
Anybody else? Whether from the town council with questions or in the audience? I guess we're done with the public hearing and you may have a seat.
Thanks, Chris.
I'd like to thank Chris for coming and for answering the questions. They're not even in his jurisdiction. And he did give the council an idea how we need to address it, and that is that the mayor needs to go right to that part of DOT to get answers to that. Thank you, Chris.
You're talking about for the accident?
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, if there's no more public comment, then I will take a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting. This is item number 7 on the agenda.
Motion to close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
do we need to do that individually?
Aye.
I think it's just, no, I think this one we're okay. It'll be the next one. It doesn't involve money. Okay, so now the town council, any discussion among ourselves about this amending the budget for $25,000 to UDOT's master transportation plan for Virgin?
I got a little bit, but then why wouldn't I? So I think the only thing I just want to make sure that when we move forward if we move forward with this, that the council is part of all 5 of those meetings, the entire council. And I would also like to request that, in talking with Chris, we're looking at pulling individuals from each community. So Desert Gardens community, Pocketville Road, all these places that Wanda was bringing up. I would like to request that the council help in the decision of that. I like studies to be as unbiased as possible, and we have very strong emotions in this town on growth, and it would be good to have a nice balance instead of just a one-sided deal. So if we get the council, and then the council could help decide with the mayor on selecting individuals from the communities to represent, to where we can kind of come to some sort of agreement, I think would give us the best chance of an unbiased study.
Anything else? I like the idea. I would agree with that. Any other comments from Misty? Leroy?
The only comment I have is if you've reviewed the budget, you'll see that we budgeted more income than we have expenses, so that we have the ability to increase it by $25,000 without being detrimental to our income and expense.
Is this in the budget worksheet that Candace printed out for us?
Yes, it is.
Okay, where do you have can you show me where?
Well, if you look at page 2, you'll see that's where it actually appears. It's down close to the bottom
Yeah.
under Transportation Master Plan.
Mhm.
And then if you go to page 4, you'll notice transfer from reserves. So we had originally budgeted 222,000 from reserves. That only cuts it down to 197,000.
Got it.
So we still have 197,000 in reserves,
Okay.
according to our budget for the coming year.
Okay.
And Leroy, my understanding is based on the offer of donation by John Staples, that $5,000, if we have a $1,000 increase for that addendum or change of scope of work, we're still within budget, as I
Correct.
calculate this.
Correct.
Okay.
I suggest that we budget for the full 26, if we can, just in case John doesn't come through.
Okay,
I don't have any objection to that.
okay, I'm ready to make a motion if the council's ready.
Hold on a sec. Okay, Paul, go for it.
Okay, and I move for approval of resolution 20-22K with the following changes, changing the budget amendment from 25,000 to 26,000, and changing section 2 to read, the mayor is authorized to sign the cooperative UDOT agreement performing work for Virgin and other necessary documents to implement study and budget amendment to include the scope of work changes for recommendations on traffic measures traffic calming measures on residential collectors and other streets and SR9.
Second.
Can you give me a little more detail on that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's-
That was a lot.
I can reread it, or I can tell you what it
I don't
says.
understand what the mayor's authorized to do without the council.
Yeah, the mayor had, in the original resolution, she was authorized to sign any agreements to implement the budget amendments. And what she's doing is signing the cooperative UDOT agreement to do this study and any other necessary documents to implement the study and the budget amendment here. So I just expanded on her language in section 2.
Specifically for this project.
For this project only, yes. And did you want that in the amendment? Okay.
What amendment?
Well, not an amendment, in my motion.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't want to amend it, so we're good.
Is that all right, Heath? Does that sound above board? Thank you.
So I believe that means our second still stands and we can go ahead and vote. Okay, roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, so now, before moving on to item 8, we are going to move H, discussion and approval of the lighting resolution. We are going to go ahead and move that to now. So we will now address item H, which is discussion and possible approval of resolution 2022-M, a resolution adopting a policy for replacement of luminaires, that's misspelled, luminaires and maintenance of existing streetlights with the town until the town has researched and adopted new standards and specifications for streetlights, and the town has sufficient funding within its budget to retrofit existing streetlights. Discussion.
Are you wanting to take any public comment on this, or?
I was going to, yes, I'm going to take public comment. I was just trying to decide if I was going to take it first or after we talk. But I think I will have us talk first.
Yeah, it might be helpful to have a discussion on it. So
First,
public
yes.
here that may
Yeah.
be a little more informative.
Well, I guess I'll discuss then. We've discussed in meetings 4 months ago that we were looking at doing some sort of an LED system throughout the town using Rocky Mountain Power's. It's kind of like a grant. They give us the fixtures and they put in LED lights that will lower the cost over time. So it's an upfront cost. I think it's about a 10-year commitment that you pay a little more than what we're currently paying. At the end of 10 years, your power bill for the town drops dramatically.
Mhm.
So the concern that I have is we have kind of let this go. And within the town, when we have fixtures that are in place, it is the town's responsibility to keep those fixtures maintained. We voted on this prior to the changeover with our mayor. This was voted on. It wasn't done correctly. And so nothing's happened with it. We've had 3 months now with lights burned out in town and they just need to be replaced. And that's why myself and Leroy have petitioned the attorney to write this so that we can maintain the lights that we have until such time as we decide on something else.
The town has a real liability there since there's lights poles there. If there's not a light in it, if something were to happen to someone. So Gene and I felt that we needed to have this until the mayor or the town comes up with another alternative to lights in those fixtures. Gene and I are not against the change. We just want to protect the town.
I do have a question because it appears that the basis for this, at least one of the bases, is potential liability for failure to replace the lights. And Heath, this is where I have a question for you. I think Utah adopted the public duty doctrine, haven't they? So an emission by us of replacing the lights, there's no liability with respect to them. Am I missing something there, Heath? Okay.
Is failure to maintain roadways and lighting for roadways. So, if someone were to get in an accident and it was unnecessarily dark, on the street, they could conceptually.
We cannot,
If someone were to get into an accident and we had streetlights that were out, knowingly out, then conceivably that person could look towards the town and try to serve the town with a notice of claim and bring an action for failure to properly maintain roadway lighting. That is an exception under the Utah Governmental Immunity Act.
Okay.
And so, I mean, there's like 37 exceptions, and that's one that's pretty specifically set out. Therein, I think, is the thought process by having them on. As the city's attorney, I would recommend that we maintain all of our streetlights.
Yeah.
We need to have them in working order. I understand that it sounds to me like everybody wants to get a better light standard, more shielded, less lumens, that cast down. We're all totally agree with all those things, but in the interim, until we have that in place, we probably need to be replacing our streetlights and not knowingly have streetlights that aren't working.
Okay, so what I think I hear you're saying is that those exceptions of the waiver of Sovereign Immunity Act is creating that special relationship document with our exceptions to the public duty doctrine. So that's, in essence, that hasn't probably been litigated, but that's the fear, is that there would be considered a special exception. Okay. I just wanted to understand the process.
It's not, it's articulated. It's clearly in the statute. It's a listed exception under the Governmental Immunity Act, Utah's Governmental Immunity Act. So, you know, I've never researched if there's any case law in Utah where someone has made claims against a municipality for failure to maintain their street lighting, but I do know that it is one of the 37 specific exceptions to the Governmental Immunity Act. That's the only reason, that's where I'm.
That what?
There are cases where there's been litigation against
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I know that there's about the public duty doctrine and you have to fall into that exception, but I didn't have a chance to research the lighting issue, so that's why I asked Heath.
I just want to add that I feel like safety is paramount in our town, and I've said this before, I do feel like our dark skies are beautiful and wonderful. I love to take advantage of them. However, I feel like we need to replace the lights at this time because we need to come up with a responsible plan that doesn't just benefit one part of town, that will benefit our entire town. So we can have similar lighting for beautification as well as protecting our dark skies. So I feel like this is we need to start this and finish it for safety and liability reasons. And then I think we should pursue finding a reasonable and safe way to do our dark skies.
I'll just say that the streetlights, the dark skies, ordinance that Paul and Kent want to work on is not really for streetlights. I have a feeling it was like landscaping, house lights and stuff, residential, commercial lights, stuff like that. And so what this is talking about is streetlights.
Right.
Okay, all right.
But
Just-
those are part of our dark sky
Yeah,
because they will affect everything we see.
Yes.
But maybe in fixing these, Rocky Mountain Power will have a suggestion of how we can do that to down shield them and things like that.
They do have a suggestion that I got from them yesterday, but I will wait and tell you after we take public comment.
Perfect.
So, public comment.
Hi, my name's Stan Burt, and I've been real involved with the Desert Gardens. And one thing I'd kind of like to clarify is we are only talking about 4 lights in Desert Gardens. The rest of the lights in town are working, according to Rocky Mountain when I talked to them last. So it's just 4 lights in Desert Gardens, and I just want to bring up a couple of things with these lights. They've been a problem from day one. If you look at the rest of the lights in the town, they're hung by an arm. Straight down is where it is. In Desert Gardens, they stand up and they got 4 windows that go straight like this. Okay, so from the problem is when you're trying to sleep at night or when your house is illuminated at night, it causes some real problems. And that's been going on and on and on. And so we got a group together and we come up with some ideas and some solutions and everything else, and nothing has happened. I mean, it's completely dropped. So I kind of wonder where we're going to go from here. What has the town done in the last little bit? It says here they're in the process of analyzing. Have I seen any analyzing? They come to ask the people what they wanted, what they needed, if we could help? We did research. We did everything else going into this stuff. And there's only several streetlights that need it. Like I say, and they're only in Desert Gardens. And so there's been a push several times to get them fixed and a little bit of it back. But if it was your house, you would feel a little bit differently, I'll tell you. And talk to those people that those lights are right by their houses. Let's see. Safety. If safety and welfare about this community with streetlights is so big to the town of Virgin, why doesn't the new subdivisions require streetlights? Why on and on. We're talking about 4 lights here, and it's turned into kind of I want to say a pissing match on this, which is not right. So anyway, I just wanted to say these few things. Us people in Desert Gardens, we really want to work with this. We want to help. We want to do whatever we can to repair this thing without causing an inconvenience to the homeowners in there. And I think we've really tried to push that. But also, on the other end, it's really been tried to push to ram this down and get these lights going. So not fair to us. So thank you.
Hi, Claudia Anderson. My concern is I didn't know it was just 4 lights in Desert Gardens. Misty, when you spoke, it sounded like it was all throughout town. When I find out it's just 4 lights in Desert Gardens, that's a completely different story. So that to me makes me very disappointed. If we're going to commit to 10 years of, well, then the money drops off. But meanwhile, we don't have the dark skies. We don't have the night skies. We don't have the downlighting. But meanwhile, we're committing to 10 years while we make a decision. That also doesn't seem fair, and it also doesn't seem right. So it sounds like we've had quite a little bit of, we did all the work. We went around and talked to everybody. We made our wishes known. It's not throughout the town. It's in just one part of town. And it really is disappointing that I have to feel negative in this town when I admit that I live in Desert Gardens. And that's really disappointing. So I just wanted to share that because that's how it comes across to us. So if you don't mean to target us, then we need it to change. And we need you to be part of us and let us be part of you. They've done a ton of work. You're not interested. You're just going to go take 10 years worth of this is what we're going to do and we'll make some decisions later. And that just doesn't seem right and it doesn't seem fair.
Another perspective, again, John Ely. There, you're talking about LED lighting.
Get closer to the microphone. I can barely hear you. Okay.
In fact, an observation, I can hear you real clearly. Gene, I can hardly.
It's going off and on. It comes off and on, so
Okay.
sorry.
I was thinking that if the mic was right in front of you, we can hear you. Back to the subject. A 10-year commitment to a lighting that would be temporary seems like a waste of money. When there is LED downlighting shielded available today, you could even use it in a gas station, what do you call that, hood?
Canopy.
There's no glare, but the pumps are well lit. If you're thinking about doing something, do something that's permanent. LED downlighting is cheaper than regular lighting. You're making a 10-year commitment, make it worthwhile. Thank you.
Before anyone else makes a comment, what is this 10-year commitment that two people have brought up? What is that? That was your comment? What is that? Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sorry, this doesn't work. It's only working half the time, so I'll speak loud. Because I think Claudia's comment as well as John's, you're not quite understanding what I'm saying. Rocky Mountain Power offers a program where they will come in and replace all the fixtures in town with low lighting. They're LEDs, they're downlit and shielded. If you'd like to see them, you can look at Tokerville. Now, with that said, the caveat is Tokerville put them in and they determined they're way too dim. They actually put in brighter LEDs, but that's the fixtures. To do that, you're going to pay a lot more money. As a town, we pay a lot more money for about 10 years to pay off those fixtures. Once that's done, then the cost of the LEDs is so significantly lower that we end up saving money in the long run. That's their spiel. Now, I haven't looked at the numbers. I was actually not even introduced by us. I don't know if it was Paul or the mayor. Somebody brought the Rocky Mountain Power.
They got the option? Oh, that was me. That was me.
Brought that up, and we've looked at a little bit, but we still haven't seen any data on that. I think that's something that's worth investigating, that will give us the option to have lower lighting in places that want it, higher lighting in other places, but all the fixtures are the same throughout town. So like Misty was saying, it beautifies the town. Now, with that said, what I'm talking about is, and until such a time as that's brought before the council, we need to repair the lights that we have. That's all I'm saying. I know that the study was done and it's not being just cast aside. I've talked with residents out there. When we replaced them the first time, we had people come down their driveway and say, thank you. It's been a long time since this has been replaced. So I don't think it's everybody in Desert Gardens that doesn't want their lights replaced. As far as your comment, Stan, I have a light right outside my door and it's bright as heck. And I would love to have something a little different. However, the fixtures have to be maintained. As a town, that's our job, is to maintain the things that we have. That's all that we're saying.
And I would like to point out that if you read this resolution and you do read number 1, it does say in the all of the town. It's not just in this one. I have a broken light by my home. I'm sure that there's several people in this room who could also speak to a broken light. We do want the whole town to benefit from the fixture of these lights. It is not just directed at one area of town.
Anybody else? Public comment.
Pat got the top end of the mic this time. Make it taller for me. On the resolution 2022-M, under number 1, streetlight maintenance policy, it states lights replaced or repaired, that it's in good working order within 30 days of the town becoming aware. Is there what happens if that's not done? Who decides if that's not done? And what happens to whom is supposed to get it done? It doesn't give any definitions of how to enforce that? Who's enforcing it? And who's it enforced against?
Well,
Policy. Okay, well, it's pretty open policy that says it needs
No.
to be, if it's not in working order in 30 days,
if it was a law, we would say everything that you're talking about, all the questions that you have. If we enact, when they write, it says when the town has formally adopted a new standard and spec for luminaries and shielding. When they do that, that's where the stuff you're talking about is going to be adopted.
oh, okay, not
Okay.
right now.
Not right now.
Just go out on me?
Yeah. Nope, I heard you.
I don't need a microphone. I can yell over machinery. Okay. Anyhow, thank you very much. Bill?
Oh, Kent. Oh, Lee, you were too slow. Okay, Kent.
Kent Peterson. Just a couple of brief comments that I had and thoughts as I read this and listened tonight. Absolutely agree with, I feel, everybody that we have a responsibility as town government to maintain our street lights, the public lights in the town, and to make sure that that is done on a very, very timely basis. And lights should be replaced much sooner than 30 days, in my opinion. So it seems pretty simple to be able to consider, and Gene has done some work and talked with Utah Rocky Mountain Power, excuse me, I'm old, Utah Power and Light, Rocky Mountain Power, and got the ideas of what they provide. We need to decide which light we like going forward in town, and that ought to be able to be replaced tomorrow by Rocky Mountain Power once we decide. If there's 4 or there's 6, then we replace them when they're needed. And that's part of the maintenance emergency budget of the town. And so I think this is as simple as coming to or forming a committee with a date that says for maintenance of existing lights. I don't have a problem with the old, what do you call the yellow lights that we have? Halogen. The halogen lights. I really strongly believe that once the town, and if the town adopts a night sky, an official night sky ordinance, that there should be a process of, instead of replacing everything in town, but let's look at the numbers, but instead of placing everything in town at once with what we decide to do, we make sure that we're replacing what needs to be done today by what we've decided we want for the future. And so it seems pretty simple to me that we can go forward with that, or that you can go forward with that as a town council in a short period of time and get the lights that need to be done so that we're safe. And then at the same time, know what we're going to be going forward with. That may not work with Rocky Mountain Power's pitch to replace everything, and it may be more expensive in the long run than to get it all done today. But at least let's get the streets safe and the town doing their job of maintenance, whoever's fault it is.
I don't live in Desert Garden, oh, Lee Ballard. I don't live in Desert Gardens. But I just wanted to say that it seems to me that a lot of the heartburn over this might be resolved if you put a date in the resolution as to when those two things would be completed. Unless and until the town has formally adopted blah, 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 number 1 and 2, if you would somewhere in there say, we will do this by such and such a date or within a certain amount of time. Because I think people worry that it just won't happen. So that's all.
I just want to say, keep in mind that whenever we're adopting a dark sky situation, it does take a lot of research and it does take a lot of time to fill those in. I do agree with the date, but it does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of asking citizens what they want. It takes a lot of research on the council's part, as well as our attorney and our engineer and all those things need to come into play because it's not just affecting streetlights. And this is just a step forward to get those completed so that we can go ahead and have what we all desire, which is protecting Virgin and keeping our skies beautiful.
Darlene Pope, Desert Gardens. Few points. Thanks to some work by Bill Swenson.
What is that that keeps happening? It's one of the microphones? Okay. Okay, okay.
The Rocky Mountain proposal I saw recouped in. All right, is that better? Yeah. All right. Also, I can account, and I have the data here, I have the actual surveys here for every voice in Desert Gardens. We have 58 property owners. 3 of those chose not to respond. 2 of those 3 said they weren't affected by the lights. There were none around them. 1 was very busy and out of town and couldn't do it. And 1, and I still have proof of contact, had no response. We have 8 lot owners. 5 of those did not respond. And out of those responses, 84% wanted no lights or shielded down lights. And even those who wanted no lights, the other responses were remove some of the poles, and 1 person wanted traditional vapor lighting or halogen lighting like we had. This is an appeal from someone who looks at 5 of those. And I have photos of daylight when they were on. And 1 doesn't go on the street very much. It shields an easement to the Nature Conservancy. And that light, the safety issue, it's a stop sign that illuminates, and there's K-rails there that could have a simple reflective strip. So I think in Desert Garden, maybe one reason I'm passionate about this, as I sat on the roof and wondered if this is the last time I'll see the Milky Way, because when those lights go in, I don't see stars. I look at 4, the one in the street, the one in the corner of 1420 and my street, one in front of my house, and the one in front of my neighbor's house, right around the bend. They're not evenly spaced, and as a result, I'm clustered. And that is going to affect my quality of life. It is going to affect, like, 2 of my bedrooms, my kitchen. And we had talked about, leaving it up to the next administration. I invited council members on the former council to my house. I was told 1 came, but no one got in contact with me. And can they be shielded? Can they be a lower lumen? Because I'm severely impacted. And I just ask for consideration for that. And I've spoken to several city members here and just saying, I'll do whatever you need to support. I want to be involved in this town where there is a social event that I can attend or finding people's input. But I have to concur with some of my fellow residents of Desert Garden. And whether it's true or not, we feel targeted. And we wonder why, if safety is such a big issue, why a better safety study wasn't done on 1420 West for the Labrie project.
Just a minute, Darlene. Can I ask a question there? Yes. Darlene, you did the survey for Desert Gardens.
Yes.
So okay, yeah, that's right. You and 2 other members. If the council decided tonight to exclude Desert Gardens and just remove the lights or turn them off for a month until we have a policy, how would that affect Desert Gardens? Would most of the people be in favor of that or against it? Or
Like what they are now?
I mean, what I'm suggesting, if we turn out all the lights in Desert Gardens, because I understand,
I think two want their lights on, but they're already the downlit ones. So I don't see why we can't at least move forward with the Rocky Mountain program. It's
so your answer is 2 members out of Desert Garden would object for us turning out the lights for a month.
Both said,
So you would have no lights in Desert Garden for a month.
I'd have to ask the community. I'm not going to speak for them because that's why I wanted to do the survey, because I know how I felt. I know how another neighbor felt, and we felt differently. And I didn't think it should be just the 2 of us. And so I can account for every property owner in Desert Garden. And I shared all that information with you. And I encouraged you to ask questions. Miss, you had a question. I made sure you got your answer. And I want to be a help.
So what was for the removal of the lights, what was the majority response on removing the lights, if that was a question?
Wasn't that 84%?
80, okay, specifically, no lights was 37%, downlights, shielded downlights was 47%. And that's how we get to the 84%. And there was a lot of going back and forth, like in a household, we wanted 1 vote per house. And sometimes one spouse wanted no lights and the other spouse wanted some light. And so it was a compromise. And I think compromise recently has become a dirty word. And I don't think it should be. Because where everybody wins, win-win. Shielded downlighting meets the needs of safety. It meets the needs of the dark sky. And yes, I'd still be looking at 4 lights, sometimes 5. There's one down the street, but it's pretty far away. But at least they wouldn't, I got the pictures on my phone on a moonless night. It was like daylight in my front yard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mark? Yes. Yes, Mark.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, joy. Can everyone? You can't now. Anyway, I just wanted to comment because our company for years has handled liability work for 2 of the largest cities in the state. And so we see all kinds of different claims filed against municipalities. The lighting issue is extremely rare, but you're correct. It is a requirement that the city maintain their lights. But it also is an issue of where do you need the lights? Well, you need lights where you have sidewalks and lots of traffic and people are walking at night. And there's still the issue, if someone were to trip and fall, are they as negligent as the city? What were they doing? What was the weather like? What were the conditions when they fell? So it's not just as simple as saying the light's out, thus the city's negligent. My point in all this is, do we really need all these lights in Desert Garden? And I'm curious, since it's way after my bedtime when it gets dark, is Rio Design, is there lights in that subdivision?
No.
Okay, so that makes me wonder, what are the requirements for?
There are no requirements for streetlights in subdivisions. They were just put in at Desert Gardens when the developer put them in, and you are the only only subdivision in the town that has streetlights.
Yeah, and it just seems to me that what's the exposure here? If we don't have sidewalks, it's not like you got a bunch of traffic. You've got people that are driving into their homes. Do people occasionally walk the streets? Yes, but what's the exposure but not having a whole bunch of lights? I think it's minimal. And
I can tell you that Springdale, I checked with them, they have streetlights on Highway 9.
and that's it.
That's it.
So I guess what I would like to say is that Desert Garden don't want those lights. An attorney tells us we're making a big mistake. I don't see why we need them. There's really not that much of an exposure there for the town to be negligent. If someone falls, there's comparative negligence in Utah. We look at what, you know this.
Yeah.
We look at what the other party did. And so was the town negligent because they didn't have lighting and there's no requirement that they have it? And the community voted they don't want lights for lots of reasons. I mean, we all love the skies here. I mean, we all do. And if we can eliminate the light skies and make people happy and also save a few bucks on, electricity, why not consider that? If the majority of the people in Desert Gardens want to do it, or even compromise and reduce the number of lights we have there.
Okay.
Mark, that's what I was trying to get up with my question, because if you remove the lights, then the question is there's no duty there because you're not maintaining the lights. So, but I wanted to know what percentage of people in Desert Gardens didn't want the lights versus some that want down. They may want downlit lights, but they don't want the lights gone. And I couldn't get a feel for that.
It
So
was
I
very
kinda-
close, Paul. The numbers between those two were very close, but the people that wanted the down and shielded lights still prevailed over
Yes,
those who wanted
yes,
the
but I
lights
don't know
gone.
how many of those would say it's all right not to have any lights. That's what the problem was.
It was an all or nothing.
Yeah, I think that's what we maybe should, it's just throwing it out to you guys. I think that's what we maybe should consider, because if we don't need them, it saves the town money, it helps keep our skies more beautiful, and why not? It's just something to consider. And the exposure, the liability exposure to the town, I don't think it's there.
So if I was to include in the motion to exclude Desert Gardens, but have all the lights turned off until we come up with a formal policy, would that be something that Desert Gardens would object?
I actually think that's an excellent idea. Let's try it on and see how it fits. If they are in favor of it, that's a good plan, Paul. Let's see, because if it causes problems, then then let's address them. But if it doesn't, why not? Okay.
I just have one point of order for you. When you said make everybody happy, that's not possible.
Well, you're right. I have to agree with Don. It's not possible, but let's go with the majority. And I think it would make a lot of people happy, and it benefits the town too in terms of costs. So it's just something to consider. Okay.
So I had a letter, it's nothing to do with you. No, sorry, I was going to read a letter that we received into the record from somebody who couldn't be here. But
So should I say
Yeah,
it?
yeah, sure. This is from Gerhard and Renee Plenert. It says, "We are unable to attend the town council meeting August 24th due to a death in the family." This was in everyone's folder. So we wanted to voice our opinion regarding the street lighting in our neighborhood. We took part in the questionnaire/survey that circulated regarding preferred lighting. We voted to have, quote, "shielded low lighting," end quote, so that we can preserve our night sky. It is our understanding that, quote, "safety," end quote, is cited for the reasoning for pushing bright streetlights. Our neighborhood consists of large housing plots and small density population. There is no through traffic and very little traffic at all. We love this neighborhood and we want to preserve the quiet, non-conspicuous atmosphere of our life. We are very detached from the traffic and high populated areas. Forcing the residents to have more streetlights that interfere with the night sky will only make our neighborhood stand out and will make us more vulnerable to crime, not less. Thank you for your consideration. So I just wanted to read that one in the record. So anybody else? Stan? You already had a comment, now what?
Okay, I've actually got kind of a solution, or just want to throw something else out here that may help. I did, during the time I was involved with the survey and all the other things we had going on, went down and talked to the Rocky Mountain manager to see what kind of options they had down there. And while I was talking to him, he said he would come up and do anything we needed. He had downcast lights in stock and everything else. And he said he would come up the next day and turn around and install those and do what we needed. When I came back from his office, his truck was already up there replacing all the lights. So that didn't go, but that's another thought. If Rocky Mountain was still able to do that, and we wanted to do that without the other, I'm for shutting all the lights off, but this is another option. If we do have to have them, maybe they would still come put us the downcast lights in, because the 4 that are burned out are the broadcast lights. The other lights in there are all downcast. And so, thank you.
Okay. Oh my goodness, we're never going to finish this. Okay. Go, George. Come on.
George Rodinos. Folks, I am a resident of Desert Gardens, and I also have a restaurant in Virgin, and up on the roof, we have a telescope, and I'm very, very much in favor of dark skies. I have nothing, by any means, I enjoy seeing the Milky Way out of my own backyard with a naked eye in months like this right now, okay? I think we can be reasonable. I think we can come to an agreement, and it doesn't have to be extreme. And by that, I mean, taking away all the lights is the extreme. Having bright lights, as one person described it, would also be an extreme. And I think the advantage, and unfortunately I'm in the minority on this, but the advantage to having lights is that it does beautify a neighborhood. To having the proper lights will not pollute the night sky. And the final point that I want to make is that security and safety is important. Just because we have just a few houses there and hardly any traffic doesn't guarantee anything as far as having some kind of a problem, all right? And may I clarify that? I'm not talking about some hoodlum coming in from somewhere else and hurting somebody, all right? Lights or no lights, even though with lights, they may be a little discouraged to do so. But I can be very specific on a concern of mine, and that is my own wife, who's in her 70s, who has a dog, who likes to walk the dog, and if they eliminate the lights altogether, I think I have a concern on my hands, and I would not want my wife at 8 o'clock on a September or October night where it's already dark to be out there without any lights. Part of our neighborhood, I feel, and part of the atmosphere of our neighborhood is to have those lights, and the compromise would be the proper lights. We don't contaminate the sky, and we bring a little beauty to the place and a little bit of safety. I think there's a common ground, and that is the direction we should go. Thank you.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Jay was about to, he's been waiting.
Jay Lee. You know, I don't know how many of you actually read this ordinance or resolution, but I think it addresses everything everybody's been talking about. Anyway, and when it, you know, when come to if everybody wants this or that, we're a republic. We're governed by laws. There's only one time the majority rules, and that's at election time. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in. But I think if you read that, you got everything in there that everybody's been talking about. So.
Malachi Baird. Quite honestly, This isn't a retirement community. It's a family community, and my kids like walking up and down the streets at night. And I want them to feel safe with having some lighting. Doesn't have to be huge bright lights or anything like that, but I want something that's that so my kids can walk up and down the street safely. I was a firefighter for 9 years. I worked with the EMTs. Trying to find a house at 3 o'clock in the morning when there is absolutely no lighting is absolutely horrible. It costs us time, and sometimes it costs you a life. I don't understand why there would, in ways I do. I've lived out 30 miles from the nearest town. I can understand why people would not want some lighting. But in a community where there's a whole bunch of people and kids, I think there needs to be some kind of lighting for safety issues. Shutting the lights down is just, it's not an option. So thank you.
Can I just say one more thing, Mayor? I just want to add this in there. I think it's something that the council obviously catches a lot of heat because we're saying we're not doing anything. Please remember that the streets and the lighting in Desert Gardens are public, meaning all of us as taxpayers pay for that. So removing the light fixtures comes at a cost. Replacing the lights comes at a cost. Doing a different lighting system comes at a cost, not just to the residents of Desert Gardens, but to the entire town. I'm going to suggest when we get to the point that instead of trying to remove all the lighting at this point, that we actually make an amendment to this that says that we will bring something to the next council meeting, whether the mayor or her appointee brings something as a solution or offers up multiple solutions that we can look at in earnest in 30 days.
I just wanted to add, if we added to Paul's motion, I like the idea of maybe amending a little to add that those lights that you guys are speaking about in particular, if we put the downlit shielding lights to match the other lights, because it seems like there is a shift there. If we could find a way to pay for those add this into this budget, because we do have a little wiggle, I think. So we could, if we need to, maybe just those 5 lights to begin with, because it is an issue of safety. And also it's a passionate issue within our town. And I feel like if we amended your motion, if that's acceptable, when you make it.
Well, I wasn't even going to make it. I was
When
just
you
trying to
make
find
it,
out what the
if you would put
what
that
the
in your-
appetite was for
Yeah, I think
amendments.
we should put that in our thoughts though, because I feel like that would actually be the best compromise to the solution. Sorry, Sean, go ahead.
I like the idea of debating the solutions rather than the problem, and because we could be here. I had to throw my 2 cents in here though, because I didn't want to feel left out. My 2 cents goes along with a little bit of my background. I have done architectural and theatrical lighting, so I understand lights and their purposes. And I also have I have 2 lights that shine in my bedroom window. One of them is the street light out here that is the halogen light, and it's yellow, and another light shining on a flagpole over here by the city office. The difference in those lights, if you see them, the only difference really is not the brightness, but the color temperature. So one solution that we could have is, if we're going to put lights in, let's put a lower color temperature in there. 2500 K is kind of about what these are, 23 to 25. That solves a lot of the glare issues that people are possibly complaining about. So take that into consideration as well. I don't like the idea that us as a town have to pay for lights over in Desert Gardens, but it is public. So we've got to concede that. Now, my suggestion is if they want to change the fixtures right away, add one more question to that survey. How much money are you willing to donate to get these lights changed? And see what comes from those citizens that are affected most. Pony up the money and you can get things happening pretty quick.
Anybody? Oh, my goodness. Okay. Sorry. It's like, oh, George.
George Mardinos, thank you for bringing up what you just said, sir. And I want to go on record that I'd be happy to pay for those 5 lights.
Okay.
Donation.
Okay. You won't have to, but okay. Anybody else? No. Oh, Bill, you were just waiting. George, don't leave. George, don't. Okay, all right. I wanted you to hear, okay, I want you to hear what I have to say as soon as Bill's done. Bill, hurry up. I've got something to say before George leaves.
I think this is a great discussion. I think we've made a lot of headway here. Thank you. I do think the downcast, the hooded lights, if we could go that direction, is going to be a huge move and maybe the best move. It may be that we don't need to take any out. We did the survey. We did a lot of work. We took it under consideration, put it in your hands, and it's a little frustrating that nothing did happen. I don't know why. I'm not going to point any fingers or say anything bad, but why in the hell did we get this far without doing nothing? So let's do something now. And I think we've come up with some good solutions here. And let's just try to keep this dark sky intact, but also at the same time, keep things safe on our roadways and our neighborhoods.
Okay.
So thank you all.
Okay.
Let's move on.
We have got to move on.
We need to move
George,
on.
please. John, hurry up. I need to tell George something.
For the LED does offset, as you said, Jim.
Yes.
Over a period of time, and they're much less expensive to run.
I can't hear you. You've got to talk into the microphone. I cannot hear you.
Much less in the long term to do the LED lights. Shielded down lights seems to be the compromise. And in the long run, it's less money.
Okay. All right. So I'm closing the comments and I'm moving on to the motion and vote. But before we do, I have something I need to tell everybody. And I let all the public comment be made before I said what I have to say. So I prepared a document that I had Crystal put up, that she can put up here. It is 55 pages long of all my emails back and forth with Rocky Mountain Power and various people over the lights. I have not done nothing. It has been, so I've got 55 pages worth of documents. I would like for you to go to page 13, Crystal, 13. That shows the fixtures. So we did have a meeting. We've all talked about that we got a spreadsheet from Rocky Mountain Powers telling us it would be $8,300 to replace every single street light in the town of Virgin with the dark sky compliant lighting. $8,300 for the entire town. And that we would recover it in 3.5 years because of the reduced electric bill. Now, in the meantime, after May, when I sent copies of these fixtures, there's this one, the next one, next page, and then the next page. That. So those are the lights that Rocky Mountain would put in the residential neighborhoods. Those other ones that they call Cobra go on the streets. So meanwhile, and that, because we weren't sure we liked the lights, I waited for us to look at a different light fixture. And Darlene had proposed some light fixtures like they have in Zion National Park. It took 3 months to get somebody to give us a price. We got the price August the 5th. So 19 days ago, I got the price finally. The price was so expensive. We're like, okay, that's done. We're now back to this for Rocky Mountain Power. So I called Rocky Mountain Power. They told us we had to give them an answer by August if we wanted to do the lights throughout the whole town because they had a limited supply. We had to know if, so I called yesterday to say, do you still have lights? And they said, yes, we do still have lights. And by the way, we have a new policy. And the new policy is that everywhere in the entire state of Utah, when a light goes out and is replaced, it is replaced with a dark sky compliant light everywhere in the state. That is now their rule. So if we replace any light in Desert Gardens, this is what's going in.
That's if Rocky Mountain Power owns the pole. The city or the town owns those poles out there. So if they have one of their lights go out on their poles, they'd be charging, like that's what Tocqueville was dealing with, whether they, because they had some light poles that were owned by Rocky Mountain Power, some were owned by the city. Did they buy the poles? And you'd be amazed at what Rocky Mountain Power wanted for a light pole that they own. But they'll own, that's a requirement, that's their internal policy.
Yes.
Seeing the birds out on their poles, they'll replace with a nice guy.
Okay, well, what they told me is that the company that makes the light fixtures that are out in Desert Gardens right now do not manufacture those light fixtures anymore, and they do not manufacture the light bulbs anymore. They're not available in the United States. They said 2 power companies in the United States have some still in a storeroom somewhere, and that's it. And the company doesn't even make them anymore because no town in the United States wants those lights. So if we call them to come out and replace a light, she was real clear, we're getting a dark sky compliant light. And our only choice is if we want a 3K or a 4K LED. And she sent a thing, I asked for a printed copy. Paul told me get a printed copy. I got an email from her this afternoon that answered my other questions, that she said that it doesn't matter, Crystal, you don't have to try to find it. She said that we have a choice of a 4K or a 3K LED, but that 3K LED is only the 3000K is dark sky compliant. And she was talking about the gateway communities to any of the national parks here in Utah. And pretty much everybody every gateway community is going with the dark sky, these fixtures that they have. And she said that they're months out in their schedule of going around because so many people want them, that they are months out in their schedule. However, they do have a schedule. She didn't give me the date, but they have a schedule with Brian Head that they're coming out to replace all the lights in Brian Head. If we can get an ordinance passed and in the budget, they can come out the same time they do Brian Head and do us and Brian Head, because the crew that puts in the lights comes from Salt Lake City. And that's the only crew that puts the lights in, these lights is what she was telling me. And that if they come out and do Brian Head, they could potentially do us at the same time. But she didn't tell me when they were going to Brian Head. I didn't ask what that date was. She was just giving me all this info. And I'm like, okay, great. We'll pass it along. And so I figure that, what are you? Okay. So anyway, I got from her she sent me their policy, and she quoted a section of their policy that says, existing features and facilities that are deemed irreparable, and it's irreparable if you can't replace it with the light fixture that it has, will be replaced with comparable fixtures and facilities from the company's construction standards. And then she says, our construction standards are LED available in 4,000 or 3,000. We offer our municipal customers a choice between 4,000K or 3,000K. Only 3,000K is dark sky compliant. I asked, since they had said they had a limited supply, what do you do if we call you to replace a light fixture and you're out? You don't have them. And she said that just recently their supply chain picked up and that they have quite a supply now that they did not before. When we were talking to her in March, they had very limited supply, but they've got more. And I did ask if this policy was statewide or just for gateway communities, and she replied that it was statewide. And that's what I have to tell you. So it seems to me that any policy that we write is going to be fairly easy to write, given what they said is their policy in the state of Utah now. But I can get more information, whatever you guys want me to get from her. Because I had a list of questions. I got all that today. I talked to her, sent her questions, got her questions. I just gave you the answers and the questions I had asked. And, but if there's any others you guys want, I'll be happy to ask.
James, did we hear it right? $8,300, we recoup the money in 3 years?
3.5 years, that's what she told us. And I did verify that the price is still the same as it was 4 months ago when she gave us the price, and she said, yes, the price is still the same.
And that's the whole town.
That's the whole town.
Thank you all. Look, that's a great job.
I figured you guys would go home and celebrate. Policy. That is their policy. But you were saying that that is on poles that they own. But if we call them to come and replace a light, what she explained to me is that's what they're going to bring.
Will not.
Yeah, right.
Not the light bulb. The light
No.
bulbs they still have in stock and can be replaced. I do have something that I'm a little cheesed at. 53 pages of comments, and that this is the first time the council's even heard any of this. You've got to share with us what's going on. I wouldn't have even written this ordinance if I thought there was another option. We've got to know what's going on. It's really difficult to try and work as a team when we don't know that you're working on something that we could all get behind.
Okay.
I'm not interested in making a decision on these things tonight, even if it looks great. To me, the salesman that says, you got to buy now or you're going to lose your option that's a dangerous move. We need to research it together as a team and see it.
That was 4 months ago that they said that. And they said now that their supply chain has picked up. It's picked up. And so they're not as worried about getting the supply to people as they were 4 months ago when I first brought it to the town council. When I first brought that spreadsheet to the town, she had said at that point, it was let us know. And she told us we needed to know by August. And so I called her, I said, it's now August, what's the deal? And she's like, oh, supply chain has kicked in and we now have more. And that this is their policy across the state. And that's why I was asking about their supply chain, because I didn't see how they could do it if they had a limited supply.
I have to agree with Gene. Mayor, you should have let the rest of the council know what you were doing, and we wouldn't have wasted nearly our whole meeting. And it could have been something in council comments that would have let the public know that you're working on it and that these were the things that we were going forward with.
I only talked to them yesterday and got all this info yesterday. And that was after we got the pricing for the other light poles that we only got, light fixtures that we only got recently. And then shared that information with the Desert Gardens people. And then they let me know, oh, yeah, you're right, this is way too expensive. So I called, and that was yesterday.
You could have had it in your council comments and that would have settled the whole thing. Just started the meeting.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
I thought you were
'cause
talking about something else. I wanted the people to have a chance to say what they wanted to say.
And so a couple of us have been accused of being hostile toward Desert Garden throughout this conversation. And had that information been shared, we may not have appeared as hostile, because that is far from the truth. We are not hostile, but communication is key to working as a team. And if you'd have shared that with us even a week before, we could have avoided this entire discussion and everybody would have been happy. Because
Hey,
this
everyone-
satisfies everyone.
Not everyone will ever be happy. Stop saying that.
You're right, but this satisfies 90% of what the problem was in the first place. And
This
it's just disappointing. is
this
all.
could address the
I'm
things
done.
that Paul's hearing that maybe we want to get the mayor out. We don't want, if we had communication from the mayor on what she's doing, to the council, or have the council involved with what she's doing, then we wouldn't feel that way. And there, and that feeling wouldn't be in the town that, you know, that there's a conflict going here that I hear all the time. You just need to be forward with the rest of the members of the council and involve us.
The only reason that Mr.
I'll-
Thompson and myself went down and met with the attorney to get these drafted up is because we are trying to do the best we can to help take care of the town from our view. Fixing lights, fixing streets, and since there is very little communication between ourselves and our mayor, this is our decision. I want to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-M with the addendum that the mayor disclosed to the council all of the communications that she's had with Rocky Mountain Power so that we can come to our next month's meeting prepared to discuss it. And if she has other ideas about the lighting, that be disclosed to the council as well. Also, that we meet next month with material to start moving forward on making lighting changes in the town.
Monica has something she wants to say. Yes, Monica.
For transparency purposes, I just found out an hour before the meeting, it cost $75, $7,500 to have them removed.
Okay. Just the ones in Desert Gardens?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd asked her to get that info, and I asked her yesterday to see what she could do to find out.
I'll second that motion.
I have a amendment to that motion, and I would make the amendment that we exclude Desert Gardens from this resolution for 1 month.
I do not. These are town fixtures.
Okay, go for a vote. We've had a motion and we've had a second. We had a proposed amendment. It
So
was-
my amendment dies for lack of a
Yes.
second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, just to make it clear.
I'm sorry. I will second your amendment. But he already asked if he accepted your amendment and he said no.
He said no, so we needed a second, so are you seconding
I'm
it?
seconding your motion, your amendment.
Okay, so, and the logic is I think Mark laid it out, that it's a risk exposure and the risk is pretty low. And the situation in Desert Gardens has been there for a long, long time.
6 to 7 years.
1 more month is not going to make a difference, and we can deal with it next month when we have 30 days or so to contemplate how to proceed with respect to Desert Gardens.
I feel like we keep kicking this down the road.
It'd be only Desert Gardens.
We were removed from the option of fixing those lights 3 months ago and nothing's happened. So I think it's time to move it forward.
Were you not accepting the suggestion no, you were the one who said bring it back in 30 days. Yeah, okay.
I think that's a good compromise, guys. I think we can make it work in place or what they claimed in the meeting. It's a good compromise. That's what we're trying to do, work together and solve problems.
I know that the comment was made that there's very little risk. My experience has been the very little risk ones are always the ones that come back to bite you. I just think we have the right, or we should be doing what we were elected to do, and that's taking care of our town streets and fixtures. Now, next month isn't going to decide the lighting. Likely, we're going to have to review it, discuss it, and it'll get kicked down the road again. I just feel like we need to get the lights replaced now, and we can look at this stuff over the next month and start working towards that direction.
Let's call the question on the amendment.
No, Lord Geraldine. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm calling for a vote on the amendment.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I got distracted. Okay. Vote on the amendment. Misty. This is Paul's amendment. All right, I'll start over here and since you're
I
thinking.
would just clarify exactly what the motion is for the amendment.
Okay, okay. Okay. Clarify your amendment, please,
So
Paul.
we would change his motion.
His motion be the same, except it's excluding Desert Gardens for 1 month from this resolution. So I'm excluding Desert Gardens from this resolution.
For
Is-
1
Is
month.
that just for 1 month from today?
For 1 month from today.
And then I have one more question just to.
Well, till the next meeting.
I was gonna say, till the next
Till
meeting.
the
Just
next
one
meeting.
point
That
of
is.
clarification for me. You said when they replace those, you said that they will not replace them with these out at Desert Gardens.
It's a matter of who pays for it. It's on our polls, we pay for it. If it's on their polls, we pay for it, but we pay for it amortized over a period of time. It just is an increase in the bill. We have to pay up front.
So just for those 5 lights that need to be
We have a
replaced
quote to put-
Just, it's okay.
We have a quote to put the
everywhere.
retrofitted lights on every pole in town, because I believe we
Mhm.
own all of our own poles.
So if this votes through and then we replace those lights out there, because that's, I mean, and then they replace the light here that needs to be fixed and the light here, because this is talking about all of them and any that we find, they will replace them with this light or they will replace them as is.
That's incorrect. Fixture.
That's what I'm asking.
This is light bulbs.
So they're just gonna replace the bulb
Replacing the bulbs.
completely.
Yes.
I had called for the question, so I think we're ready for a vote, Mayor, on the amendment.
So did he answer your question, Misty?
I had those 2 questions.
Okay, all right. Vote
So this is on the amendment, so
on your
I
amendment.
say aye.
Jean?
No.
Jean, aye. Leroy?
No.
Misty?
I did not answer.
She hasn't answered yet.
It's a hard one, guys. It's not even sitting on.
It would be September 28th, by the way.
September 28th.
Sorry.
Yes.
So the amendment passes. So now
Now we vote on the whole resolution
with that amendment.
with that amendment.
With that amendment, I will be in favor of the motion. So when you're ready to call the vote,
Yes.
aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Jean, aye. Leroy?
Aye.
Misty?
Aye.
Okay. Now, we have 5 minutes and we have got to address item E on the agenda. It's under 9E. We have to address this really quick and then the meeting's done for the,
I think we need to address the one on the attorney too.
That should be quick.
That should be quick.
okay.
Because we need to name an attorney.
Okay, I still want to do the appeal, scheduling the appeal first.
Preview on the resolution. It's not so much that we are appointing a deputy town attorney to handle prosecution of violations of the city's ordinance. If it's a violation of the Utah Criminal Code, the county attorney's office prosecutes those. The reason why we have to do it is because the clerk of the court in the Washington County Justice Court wants to know that this person is appointed by the governing body of the town, and that when they enter into plea agreements and, you know, enter their appearance on behalf of the town, that they are authorized to do so. So we put together a very simple one. And just for the public's background, we had Rachel Beckstrom was our prosecutor. She just recently passed away
Oh, did
from
she?
cancer about
I knew she
2
was-
weeks ago. She had, probably the past 2 months, been having Mr. Weeks handle things for her. He is a deputy Washington County attorney. The county attorney's office and the county attorney has always allowed his deputy county attorneys to moonlight and do work for the local municipalities. And I know Jim, he's a fine attorney. And so that's what the resolution says, is that you're just appointing him as the deputy town attorney to handle prosecutions.
Okay,
And Heath could ask for a clarification is, you said that's for all town code violations. And so when he's prosecuting an offense committed within the town limits of City of Virgin, that is a misdemeanor, is that being prosecuted by the town prosecuting attorney or by the county attorney?
Misdemeanors are prosecuted by us.
That's what I thought. Okay, great, thank you. So are we on this item right now? So it
Yes,
appears
yes,
so.
let's get it voted on so we can talk about the, like we need to do.
I do, well, first, after public comment, I do have one statement, so go ahead.
Okay, any public comment on appointing a new prosecuting attorney for the town of Virgin? I was gonna say
Okay.
Cameron, by golly.
Yeah, I'm the troublemaker. I have a little concern because I wanted to make sure I do my due diligence with respect to Mr. Weeks. And I have no problem approving this resolution. I just want to have a visit with him. I don't think anything precludes us from changing our mind at a later point. So I do want to figure out what his prosecutorial philosophy is, because some of that will affect what occurs to this town, both on a budgetary purpose and other matters. So I've already talked to Gene about it. I'm in favor of it, but I want to do visit with him.
Just so that you know, we have a professional services agreement for the prosecuting attorney that we had with Rachel. It's the same one, he's reviewed it, he's willing to agree to it. It allows us to terminate the services on 30 days notice. So I think if you want to adopt it, so that we continue to not
Yep.
have some prosecution, and you have, I think, it'd be great to call up.
Yep, and I'm all ready to vote in favor of it. I just wanted everybody to know I'm going to go be talking with Mr. Weeks, and I think Gene might even join me on it.
All right, motion.
I would like to motion we approve resolution number 20022-L to appoint a new prosecuting attorney, James Weeks.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
Jean? Me? Aye. Leroy?
Aye.
Misty?
Aye.
Okay. We now need to, we're not leaving here until we talk about item E. Discussion on scheduling the appeal hearing for the CUPs on the Labrie project. So do we just need to look at the calendar, come up with a date that works, or what?
Yeah, I will give you a little bit of background. It appears from the appeal that was lodged that it was two different conditions permits. One was a conditions permit that was issued by the planning commission, and it was properly noticed on the public house website. And I would argue that that appeal is not timely. Under our own ordinance, which gives you a very short time frame to appeal. The other one, which was done afterwards, which only specifies a singular parcel, that one was done as a level 1 conditions permit. And we are now trying to fix our process, but it was not. We were supposed to give notice of the issuance of level 1, so that the public can be on notice, and if they don't agree with it, they have the ability to appeal. That was never given, so that I feel like Mr. Ely's appeal rights have been told, and that it is timely as to that one. So we probably do need to have we can set it for both of them. I think one of the initial determinations at that hearing for the council would be your appeal as to the first conditional use permit is not timely, but we could go with the second one. So that's my advice.
Okay,
So the question is when?
Set a time.
yes, set a time.
They obviously have the right to be there. We have to give them proper notice. They have the right to have legal counsel if they want to there, and give the reasoning why they think that the plan, well, in this situation, it would be on level 1, my planning administrator erred in issuing that. So we can, just so you know, in these types of conditional use permits, council is the appeal authority. It's not Mr. Jenkins who is our appeal authority on other land use decisions. You can do it at one of your regularly scheduled meetings. You can do it on a separate day and time. You can do it after your meeting. I just think it needs to be given. It's probably not something that I would suggest that we try to accomplish in the middle of our regular business.
And Heath, also, I would assume that the applicant, which is the developer,
The second CUP that is being appealed.
Well, we have to have a hearing.
You guys have to make the ultimate determination that
Right.
At the first CUP issued by the planning commission, the appeal is not timely. I can't make that.
We hear both. We make a decision on both. One, if we say it's not timely, then we don't hear anything, and then the second one we do.
But
That hearing up, I would summarily make a determination as to the timeliness or the mootness of the appeal as to the first condition, and then allow him to present all evidence and argument, and allow the applicant to do the same, asking questions. Probably we can then deliberate and
although we do have to, I think, allow Mr. Ely to make his argument as to why it's not, why he thinks it may be timely at the meeting, yeah.
that's why I said at the very
Yeah.
outset, we ought to address that issue.
Deal with that
Maybe
first.
probably cut the time frame for that year and a half if you decide that.
Okay, so calendars?
Evenings or.
I was just gonna say, you're gonna
Evenings
be,
or Friday.
you're gonna be the thing, so.
Evenings or Friday.
Friday, okay,
Or if we do it evening after 4 o'clock.
okay,
That's, we'll set perfect with me.
okay. Mr. Ely, what is your schedule? Do you have any issues with time?
My schedule needs to be adequate, okay?
I cannot hear you.
I think it would be a mistake if we cut the time short. We need at least 1 hour period of time, minimum.
That's a very good question, how long he thinks he needs to.
Yeah. I have 7 pages of information I will cover.
Okay, Fridays work better for you then? So you're not even working on Fridays generally, so it's just Monday through Thursday. Okay, I say we look for a Friday then we don't have to cut
If
it
it's a
off.
Friday, it's got to be in the afternoon for me.
Okay,
If there's.
Early afternoon.
Huh?
early afternoon?
Early afternoon, anytime after afternoon.
What about you? Okay, what about you, Paul?
What day, though? I
No,
guess-
any issues with Fridays?
No, depending on the day of the week, yeah. I mean, depending on what date you pick. There are
Okay.
some Fridays, yes, some no.
Okay. Well, we've got, not,
We need Crystal to be here today.
you have football? How can you have football? Your son has graduated high school. Oh, okay.
How much time does this have to be noticed? Is it a 2-week notice, a week notice?
No, actually, on something like this, it's just 24-hour notice.
Oh, goodness.
However, you guys, if we're
It's
going
a
to have
public-
Liberty here, we need to get.
Yeah, no, they need to give
With-
time. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at either the 9th or the 16th is what,
The
I'm
9th,
sorry,
I-
what? 9th is bingo.
I can't do the 9th, that's what I
Okay.
mean. So 16th or the 23rd.
I
I like the 23rd.
what did we say?
can't do the 16th. I have
What
a
about the
wedding.
23rd?
My nephew is my only.
Okay,
23rd?
well, that leaves, 23rd. How's that for anyone? That's a,
Would an evening starting at 4 o'clock? on
no,
any day be-
we're thinking early afternoon, like 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay,
1 o'clock on the 23rd is fine.
that's
Okay.
fine for me, that's.
On the 23rd, is that what you said?
Yeah, we were saying, he said 1 o'clock on the 23rd is fine for him. What about you, Paul?
23rd at 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yes?
I will not be here. I'll be in training.
Okay.
Can we have?
Yes, Monica can come.
What do we have? We have someone that can take, do we have a deputy
Deputy clerk, no,
clerk report?
no. Can we get one from a neighboring town to come in and sit in? Is that possible?
We can always do it in front of our meeting. No, I'm in training, I'm up north. There's 7 days of training. the
What
police
about,
training.
Madam Mayor, what about like sooner? I know Mr. LaBrie's in town this next week.
So you're looking at the second?
I'm going to be out of town.
You're going to be out. Okay. Just thought I'd throw it out.
Okay.
That's Labor Day weekend, yeah, so makes it tough.
You can always do it the
Not to shift, not to shift days, but what about the
I-
Tuesday the 23rd? I'll be home by 12 o'clock that day.
Tuesday, the 23rd, it's a Friday. You're looking at the wrong one.
So you mean Thursday, the 20, oh, the 20,
Tuesday's the 20th.
Or 13th, I'm back, I'm sorry.
13th.
I'm
Okay,
saying the wrong
okay,
word.
okay.
13th,
I'll be here.
There's somebody in now. That one could work, I have that day off already.
Yeah, I don't have anything on my calendar that
How are
day.
you, Paul?
13th,
The 13th of September, Tuesday. What time?
1 o'clock?
You could do 1 o'clock, it would work perfect.
I would say 1, just to be, give us
1's
plenty of time.
fine
1
for
okay
me.
with you?
On
Okay,
I-
what about you, Gene? 1 o'clock on the 13th?
Yep.
Are
I will,
you gonna
ma-
be gone?
I will make it work.
Okay.
I'm shuffling I'm gonna.
I-
shuffle a
I-
doctor's appointment with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I'm looking at that. I don't have my regular calendar in front of me, so I'm just doing things in my head. And
It's a Tuesday.
yes, I realize that.
Okay, I was gonna say, and that is 3.5 weeks from now.
Yeah.
If we did it the first thing in the morning on the 16th, I could possibly come.
But Leroy said he's
Leroy
not,
can't.
he can't do any mornings on Fridays.
What
It's only
about the,
afternoons.
I have a
Misty, what
standing
about the
appointment every
20th?
Friday.
Is the 13th not work for somebody now?
No, it's,
For- it's gonna be
it was,
hard for
it,
Paul.
Paul just
I
said
don't,
he
in
wasn't
my
sure.
mind, I'm trying to think of my calendar and trying to make sure. And I don't want to,
I work on the 20th. This
Okay,
is
then
just
that
one
won't work.
day that's random out of my
Okay.
schedule. I already have off.
like I said, I will make the 13th work. I'm just
Okay.
playing.
All right,
my-
let's just go with the 13th at 1 o'clock. John, 13th? Okay. Okay.
I'll get a hold of Mr. LeBrie if you'd
Okay,
like, or.
okay,
Thank you.
yes.
That's my other question. Who was going to get a hold of me?
Well, he was saying he was here this weekend, but you'll be able
Yeah,
to
I'll
talk
reach
to
out
him
to
because he's
him.
there in
If
town.
not, other than the 16th, if Mr. LeBrie can't come, other than the 16th, that's the only day I can't come on a Friday. So the 13th doesn't work for him.
Then the next option
Then
is,
If the 13th doesn't work for him, I can't, the only day I cannot do that's a Friday is the 16th.
okay,
The only day.
okay.
And we can't
the
do
other
it the
Friday.
23rd because of Crystal, right?
Yes, correct.
Mayor,
Yes,
Mr. Beasley, the appellant, has one request that he'd like to make to you guys right now.
okay.
It may be more than one, okay? Yes, I am expecting to see a written notification of this, okay? I would like to see what the format of this meeting will be. And
That's from,
and Mr. Snow told me that, so I expect that. In addition, because of my legs, I'm gonna need to sit at a table with a microphone. I'd like to be heard.
Okay.
Okay. I would also like to have in writing, I am appealing to the town. Can you hear me?
yeah, barely, your voice is getting lower and lower and lower as you're talking.
This one works really good.
I am appealing to the town, and there is not a fee in the town schedule for an appeal. So unless I instruct this to go to an appeal attorney, there will not be a fee. And I'd like to see that
In writing.
in writing.
Okay.
Essentially, he's asking for a fee waiver because our uniform fee schedule says on any appeal, there is that $500 appeal fee. Usually that covers the administrative cost of staff and some of the appeal authority's expense. He's saying because I'm appealing
To the town council, it's
so you
different.
don't charge the town
Right.
anything, I would like that to be waived.
Okay,
And I think he needs to know that, he wants to know that before everyone gets all rolled up and ready to go on it. That
Okay.
He's gonna get that waiver. And I said, I can't grant it. She can't grant it because we have
has to be,
from this council.
okay. So I can say that I don't have a problem with the waiving the fee because I know that when we created the fee for the appeal authority, we were talking about the attorney. We were not talking about anything like this. Because I was the person who had the suggestion about having it's you've been the person The whole idea of the appeal authority that we have here in Virgin was my idea. I was the one.
I recall, thank you.
Yes, and it was all about the appeal authority attorney. It was nothing to do with an appeal. We didn't even have an appeal to the town council at that time, I don't believe, when we did that.
This is the only thing I can think of in our entire ordinances that gets.
Right, and I'm just thinking that when we even created this, we didn't even have, at the time that was enacted, that we didn't even have on the records anything that was an appeal to a
I
town
would
council.
be in favor of a waiver.
I'd be disinclined because we still have to pay attorney fees and everybody has to make way in their schedule for this. My suggestion would be if Mr. Ely wins his case, if not, he pays the $500. Because this is an inconvenience in a separate meeting with an attorney present that we have to pay for.
I will be here to advise.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
So Heath is acting like it's a special meeting, so it's not that he's handling the case, he's acting as our advisor. So I'd still be in favor of the waiver, but I understand your argument. I understand that, yes, I understand that that's a cost to us. And I'm in favor of waiving it and absorbing that cost.
Even when we had a board of adjustment, the attorney was there.
I think our schedule is not, I think it's not clear on how to handle appeals to the town council. And I hate to charge anybody until we make it clear. So we need to change our fee schedule before I feel that we can charge somebody. So it's something we need to do. But
What I said basically, which is we waive the fees in the event that he loses his case, he has to pay the fee.
What's your thought there, Heath? You look like you're thinking.
well, it sounds like it's dying for a second.
Yeah, you can see it.
So it's died for a second.
Yeah, Gene, I appreciate that. It seems like he's kind of been around, but since you are the only body that can waive the fee, and you're the body who's here in the appeal, you have the ability to basically apply the fee retro in deciding against him, so I don't.
Am I going to be on that committee?
Are you gonna be on it?
Right.
Given that he issued the CUP.
Because we're appealing
He
his
says that-
decision.
It's a public meeting, you're welcome to be present. It may be in this type of meeting, if the council wants to call you as a
Yeah.
witness and ask questions of you for clarification, I think you're important to be here, but you can't be sitting up there.
So on something like this, if it's a split vote, how does that work? Where you don't have a fifth member?
When it's 2-2, I've been wondering that myself. I think I know how it goes.
How does it go?
I think the appeal fails.
Maybe it's something we'll have to look into.
We'll have
by
to
next
look
month.
in, but I have a feeling the appeal. We'd have to research that, yeah.
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
Okay, so the motion is to waive the fee
No, we need to make a motion, but yeah.
and
Well,
set it, okay.
Yeah, let's go back. Are we setting up for the 23rd's out? So.
The 13th at
so
1 o'clock.
13 at 1 o'clock, okay.
So I have a question though, do we need to do paperwork first before we Zoom, or can we just do that after?
What kind of paperwork are you talking about?
To write this officially.
Oh, okay.
All of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The letter that he wants.
This says we are.
Okay. I make a motion then that we schedule the appeal of the, John Ely's appeal of the CUPs that were issued to the Labrie project on September 13th at 1 PM. and that we waive any fee for John Ely, and that we will send him a letter indicating such. Is there,
Second.
okay, I just was making sure there was nothing else on that motion. Okay, vote. Misty? I'll start at your end.
Yes.
Leroy?
Yes.
Jean? Yes, Jean.
Sorry.
Aye.
Okay.
I have one more question for you, because I mean, we're a very divided town as it is, but the setting aside of the first CUP, if that's voted that it wasn't done in a timely manner and the vote is a 2-2, how does that work?
Yeah, you can, right.
First, that's correct. Thank you. I'm just trying to think down the road, issues we may face.
Yes, Cameron?
I was just wondering, Mayor, if you wanted representation from the planning and zoning commission for that.
What do you think?
For the first,
I would advise, yeah, I'd like to have you chair. That's- Just so in case they want to call and ask questions. That was my question.
Yeah. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? What?
the motion is also to table the rest of the remaining items till next month.
You just had to make it harder, didn't you?
Yes,
Just
I want to
had
make
to.
clear that we just didn't do it. So my motion is to table the remaining items we haven't addressed until next month's meeting.
And then adjourn.
And what?
And then adjourn.
And then adjourn, yeah. I can make a double motion, so.
Second, all in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious.
No, I would